What time is it? It's Packard Folks at time. Hat? Check. Shirt? Check. Pants? Optional. Mug? Double check. Check us out at cafepress.com/PackardPokesat where you can get all this great merchandise and more.
Do you like Packard Pokesat and want to hear it on demand and on the go? Download the free app today at Stitcher.com. Available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad.
This is Packard Pokesat, and I'm poking at your news.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokesat. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining me tonight from the far west coast is Connie, Practical Magic 9.
I'm melting. What a world. Oh, sorry. It's very warm. Too warm for Washingtonians.
Yes. And joining us from the far east coast is Steve Shives from YouTube.
Hello.
Yes. Tonight we're doing our Okay, Let's Talk. But before we get started, I do want to say a couple things here real quick. I want to thank Joseph Cobal from Google Plus, who gave us a suggestion for the topic tonight. If you have a suggestion, you can mail us at ppapodcast@gmail.com or call our voicemail at 662-709-PPAP or 662-709-7727. And then we'll take your suggestions. Email is better because I can respond to you and make sure it's clear. Before we get started, I just want to say our topic tonight, we're going to be talking about sin. If you haven't seen the picture, and if you're listening to this in audio, you're missing out on a great picture. Tonight's topic is sin and the bullshit that really is. The apple is alive. That's the title of tonight's topic. Sin, first off, is an imaginary thing and a fucked up concept that has been thrust upon humanity for generations, saying, I don't like you to do a thing, so I don't want you to do that thing anymore, so we're going to say it's bad. It's a sin. And the word sin, it has a very interesting etymology to it, actually. It comes back from a very old language here. Its original is sunjo, or I'm probably screwing that up. It stems related from the Latin sunt is, guilty. In Old English are examples of the original general sense, offense, wrongdoing, misdeed. The English biblical terms translate sin or syn, also sin, from the biblical Greek, and the Jewish terms sometimes originate from words in their latter languages denoting the act or state of missing the mark. Connie had mentioned at our staff meeting that the sin is also when you actually miss, like in archery, for example. And that's actually mentioned right here where you would actually miss your target in this instance. Unfortunately, I'd willing to bet you somebody said, hey, you missed your target. Well, that's a sin. It's like, hey, you missed. I'm going to apply that to religion. Is that true? I don't know. Most likely it's probably not, but I like to make shit up once in a while because it just sounds really good, and that sounds pretty good to me. Okay, so let's talk. There's a lot of shit that Christians will say about atheists when they come to the word sin, like, atheists just want to sin. Like, okay, sure, why not? So we should all be sad?
Well, isn't it like one of those things? It's sort of like when a religious person tries to argue with a non-religious person by quoting from their holy book.
Right.
Like it's supposed to mean something to you. And if you're not, like if you're arguing with a Christian and they're arguing with you by saying, well, the Bible says this and the Bible says that.
Right.
If I'm not a Christian, why should I care?
Right.
And like the whole concept of sin, the religious concept of sin is an idea that if you're an atheist or a non-believer, whatever you consider yourself, it doesn't have any meaning to you.
Right.
So like if a Christian says to me as an atheist, well, you just want to sin, like to me, like I understand what they mean, but it doesn't mean anything to me because I don't think there's any such thing as what they're talking about.
Right. Now,
Right.
the way that a lot of Christians and religious people, I'm not going to just limit this just to Christians, because the word sin, it's covered throughout several different religions. Judaism was where it's kind of born, as it were. It's also in Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, of course, Buddhism, and Baha'i. I think that's how it's pronounced. I do apologize if I screwed that up, but religions are all bizarre anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But all these people, they treat that there is some concept of sin or immorality, and
Right, but not all of them. But not all of them ascribe it to your relationship with God.
right,
Either, like Buddhism, as I understand it, just from the Wikipedia, which it's Wikipedia, but it has more to do with karma, where your suffering is the inevitable consequences of greed, anger, and delusion, known as the three poisons.
yeah,
There's not a direct equivalent to Abrahamic religion, and it's more the consequences of your nature,
Right.
and it's not towards a deity. So,
well, in a way,
it's interesting to me.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the same thing here, but they say it's the wrongdoing is recognized in Buddhism, and Christianity in sin is also wrong. Is supposedly a wrongdoing of some sort, also. But I mean,
Well,
but
it has more to do with our own actions.
Yeah.
And well, again, religion is trying to understand the whole idea of humans being imperfect and trying to understand how we treat one another, and and being, I guess, trying to be accountable for that. It's just some religions, like the three Abrahamic religions,
right.
place more weight upon our accountability to a deity, because we are absolutely incapable of being perfect, and so therefore all of any attempts we have to try and better ourselves are
I think
they're
if we're going to better
inadequate.
ourselves, we
Although
should,
Judaism has a different view on it.
Oh, yeah.
I found that interesting.
yeah, I was going to say, I was going to jump off springboard off there. If we're going to improve
Sure.
ourselves, we should do it for ourselves, not for some imaginary sky monkey out there. So
Well, yeah, that's sort of has always been my problem with that religious concept of sin, where it's tied to your relationship with a god. Is that if you can come up with a good reason not to do something, then you don't need to bring God into it at all.
right.
Like if you want to say, well, murder is wrong because it's wrong to take another person's life, because you should have no right to take another person's life, that you don't need to refer to God at all for that. You don't
Right.
need to say, well, it's God says it's a sin. Well, okay, but that's irrelevant. Whether you believe that God exists or not, it doesn't matter. If you can give me a good reason not to do something,
Right.
then we don't need to bring God into it at all, whether he exists or not.
Right. It's the morality question, basically.
Yeah.
To bring us back to the morality. One of the other
Perfection is not necessary to achieve good in this life.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect to do that. You just and in sin, the concept of sin and God displeasing him infantilizes us.
Oh yeah.
And in some sense, it excuses individuals from accepting responsibility for their actions.
Oh yeah, that's like the
So-
devil made me do it. Like the one, like
Mhm.
like Mr. Devil up here. Hi.
Yeah,
So-
mea culpa, mea culpa.
I'm blowing him a kiss, by the way.
apologize. Yeah, yeah, later. Mhm.
So yeah. Someone's gonna screenshot me doing that one.
It didn't seem to move him at all.
No, he didn't seem to move. He didn't seem
No.
to see. He's a stone. He's a stone.
Oh, never
I
mind.
did find Hinduism, their concept of sin of sin is actually pretty close to the Abrahamic ones, where it's a crime against God, also known as dharma or moral order. So, or
Yeah,
one
Dharma. Yeah.
dharma. I don't know how.
Yeah. Dharma. Yeah.
Maybe the H isn't silent. Maybe it is. I really don't know. I don't know if I really care. I only care about when they push this shit on people, So one of the other things here is there's a lot of great responses for it. For example, you're just an atheist because you want to sin. Well, you're just a Christian because you want to feel morally superior. That's a great one.
So they're saying that we're hedonists or libertines.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah, I guess so.
We just want to misbehave.
You just want to be misbehave. I remember a number of years ago, sometimes I would turn on the AM station because it's early in the morning, or I was just trying to listen to some other show, and I just wanted to, I was waiting for the news to come on, and they had some woman come on. It's like, oh, atheists, they just want to sin. It's like, oh, you make that sound like it's a bad thing. I mean, we're not out there killing and raping people. I mean, we'll leave that, we'll leave the killing and the raping to the Christians. Sorry.
Well, I think one of the best responses I've ever heard to that argument that, well, atheists just want to we just want to give ourselves permission to be immoral people.
Right.
Penn Jillette said, because if a Christian were to say, well, if there's no God and there's no absolute morality and you're not held accountable to anything, then you would be able to kill as many people as you want. And Penn Jillette said, I already kill as many people as I want, which is 0.
Right.
I just don't want to.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether there's anybody holding me accountable or not.
Right.
I kill exactly as many people as I want.
Right. I could say I want to kill them all, but I've never done it because I won't, because I know the consequence of doing such a thing, and those consequences would be me being killed, and that's not acceptable, or coming to hurt somebody else in the process. I mean, because you can think about something, but acting upon it is completely different.
I think that's also that's the primary problem. Is the thought crime is also, you're just as guilty as if you had done it, and that's not equal.
No, it's
Although
not.
I will say that usually, okay, this is something I do think. Most times when people commit an act that we would all consider to be wrong, they oftentimes have thought about it. They've contemplated it. They are, at some level, I'm not saying every time, because some crimes of passion, they're very much instinctual, and you're acting on an emotion that just rises up. So, but that's the problem. That's the catch-22, especially with modern evangelical Christianity. They say, yeah, if you think about it, you've done it already, according to Jesus. And
yeah, I never bought into that shit. Yeah, I never really bought into that shit myself, because the fact is, the only person who's gonna know my thoughts is me. And you know what? I know there's a lot of people that do. I mean, when I was
it is, and it's very damning of yourself. It really keeps you
chained,
keeps you kowtowed. Yeah, you're bowing. You're bowing all the time. You realize, that one of the most freeing thoughts I had after I deconverted was like, oh my God, every time I did something nice, every time I did something good, that was me. I could actually take credit for it. I didn't have to brag about it, but I could feel good about myself. And that wasn't something that was allowed. Sorry. So we were talking about sin, and that sin encompassed everything for me.
Yeah.
And anyway,
well, and that's one of the things, one of the real insidious things about that, when you're sort of taught that mindset, you're told to accept that that's the way the world works, that you exist in a system where it's guaranteed that you will never be good enough.
Right.
Because you can't control what stray thoughts come into your head. I mean, no matter how hard you try, no matter how morally upright and pure you try to be, you'll always have a stray thought where somebody will do something that you don't like, and you'll be like, oh, fuck that guy.
Right.
Or you'll see someone that you think is attractive, and you'll have like a sexual thought about them. And according to the teachings of Jesus, that's just as bad as if you actually committed some kind of an act.
I never liked the thought of, I've already slept with somebody, if I just think about it, because my dick's not wet. I'm not getting anything here.
What about that, Jesus?
What about that, Jesus? Hey, my dick is hard. It's still hard. This isn't getting wet by thinking about it, okay?
You're committing all kinds of sins in the eyes of Jesus right now, Packard. You better be careful. Jesus is writing this shit down.
Well, I'm just gonna give.
There's another one and another one.
And there's another one, and another. I hope he's gonna get fucking writer's cramp before the end of the night. I'm just saying. And I'm over here, and plus I'm over here.
On. He's got that pad out. He's just flipping over and over and over again. Yeah, you're going away for a long time.
Yeah, and plus I'm over here kissing Satan. Come here. There we go.
He still doesn't care though.
And he still doesn't care.
But it does it leaves you in this spot where if you're a member of the church, if you're just a member of the congregation, you're in this position where you're always going to be, as long as you accept that system exists, you're always going to be beholden to the church.
Yeah.
You know, because the church claims to speak for God, and God is the one you have supposedly sinned against. So your only recourse to make things good with God is to keep things good with the church. And if you accept that a sin counts not only if you actually do something, but if you think something, then you're in a situation where you're guaranteed that you have accepted a standard that you will never ever be able to live up to.
Oh, exactly.
So you'll be beholden to the church, to the keepers of that standard forever.
I did want to make a comment. Jim Kill in the chat room, he says, I feel sorry for the people who give all credit away for all the good things they do. I do too. I was like that. I was like that too when I was a Christian. I was like, yeah, I do it because Jesus, whatever. Just insert random acts of kindness here. But I was always like that before I discovered religion, whatever, or I kind of got roped into it anyway. And I do it after the fact too. And I got to tell you, a number of years ago, I was trying to get in an intersection and my car died. And this guy pulled up to say, I'll help you push it back or whatever. I was like in the middle of a busy 4 lanes. I mean, that was not going to happen. And I said I needed a jump. He's like, that ain't happening. And he's sitting there with his shirt wide open. He's got a big gold cross. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, whatever. And is like, but he's like, well, I'll pray for you. Oh, thanks. Thanks for fucking nothing. I appreciate it. Thanks.
I will say, I mean, I'm of the mindset that if you do something good for somebody, it doesn't really matter to me if you did it for a religious reason or not. But when you examine like if you're a religious person and you think that your religion calls you to be a kind, compassionate, charitable person, my response to you is going to be, well, then go for it. Do all the good you can possibly do. But when we break it down like we're doing tonight and we examine these concepts, I mean, it's really unfair to tell people that the bad things they do are their responsibility. Yeah. But the good things they do, they only did because of some divine influence. I mean, it's like what I've expressed it a couple of times in videos I've done. It's like God gets all the credit and none of the blame. You know, if you do something bad, it's your fault, and if you do something good, it's because of God.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I've heard that so many different ways. Sometimes they will blame themselves, but then they will say, well, I just got to pray and God forgives me for the things I've done. That just drives me fucking up a batshit wall. Take ownership of what you did. If you did something wrong, don't say, well, God forgave me. Fuck no. You're still responsible. You get to slough it off on something else. If God were real and I were God, I'd say, hey, take ownership of your shit.
Yeah. Don't bring me into this.
Don't bring me into this. I didn't have anything to do with that shit.
Hey, I wasn't even paying attention.
I was over in Europe. I was trying to defuse a bomb. You call me over. It's like, oh, you thought of a thing. Oh, well, that's the nuclear equivalent. Now they blow those fuckers up. Thanks a lot.
It's like there's a Saturday Night Live sketch from like back in the late '80s, I think, where it was this really, really super religious Christian woman who would pray to Jesus like for everything, and eventually Jesus actually showed up. Yeah. And he was like, you have to stop praying this much. Like, you can't pray to me about everything, okay? I have a lot to take care of up here. Like, you can't, I really hope that your kid does good on the test, but you really shouldn't be praying to me about that. It's not that important.
I also like George Carlin's 10 Commandments. It was very abbreviated.
He got it down to like 2. He got it like down to 2. And he's like, or some of them are just duplicates, and the rest of them are just like, why the fuck are these even here?
Yeah, because I think the first four have nothing to do with any kind of morality at all.
No,
the first
they don't.
4 are just God staking out his territory. And saying, let's all remember that I'm the one in charge.
Yeah, I'm in charge here. Remember that, everybody.
Really
don't pray to any other gods. So this means God actually believes that the other gods exist. And it's like, here he exists. He acknowledges that there's other gods that they atone to or pray to or whatever. But I'm too far into the Bible. I just want to explode. I'm not even really that far into the Bible, but damn it, I just want to explode into it anyway. So, oy vey. Anyway. There were some other parts here I wanted to bring up. This is from a blog a couple of years back. He asked the question, why sin is a false and morally and biologically backward concept, which is an interesting thought, since sin has a tendency to keep us from, the thoughts that we have of ourselves, like, oh, I really want to nail that girl or that guy or whatever. That's a biological hazard right there for humanity, because without sex or lust or whatever, we wouldn't be here. Because lust is a thing that, we have, we are drawn to people because of our evolution. It's like that person would make a good breeding partner, and I want to pass my genes, so I make a little bit more copies of myself. Well, somewhere duplicates down the line anyway, So this is how our species and every species keeps going.
Yeah, there are all kinds of troubles that you run into if you try to marry the concept of sex to a moral framework that has nothing to do with the rights of the people involved. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to say that certain sex acts are immoral or unacceptable, that's fine. We have to say that, but you should judge it based on how the rights of the people involved are respected or violated. I mean, it's not the religious concept of it is, well, you can only have sex if you have performed this ceremony. Yeah. And if you haven't, then anything you do is wrong and dirty and filthy.
That's the best kind, Steve.
Well, depending on where you want to go with it, I mean, it in the minds of a lot of people, especially if you're like a young person and you're maturing and you're going through your sexual awakening, and your parents and your pastor and all your authority figures are saying, don't do that. Like, what are you going to want to do?
Right.
It's even in practical terms, if the point of it is to get people to not have sex, it doesn't work.
No, you're right.
It just makes it forbidden and makes it more attractive.
Absolutely. That's what they don't understand. It's like, if we're going to call this a sin, it's like, oh, that'll scare them away from it. No. Yeah. You're actually doing the opposite. They didn't know psychology very well back then.
Because, teenagers... when you tell them not to do something, that's always good enough.
Oh, yeah.
They always stop. Oh, I'm not supposed to do that? Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. The only time they will stop if it causes them serious pain is like, don't touch that. Oh, okay. Ah! See, I told you not to touch that. Oh, well, I won't do it now because it hurt me.
And if you tell people, don't do this or you're dirty and sinful, that's usually, obviously it works on some people, but it's usually way less effective than if you would just say, look,
consequences.
There's consequences. Yeah. I mean, you're growing up. You're going to have to make your own choices eventually. You can do things the right way, the safe way, the responsible way, or you can take a lot of risks. And if things go badly, it could really fuck your life up.
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't have to tell them, oh, and if you do, like if you have sex before you're married, or if you have sex with someone who's the same gender as you or whatever, like you've committed some awful sin against God and you're an abomination like that. Right. I don't see what that's supposed to accomplish other than making people feel terrible about themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. My talks with my two youngest have been really interesting because, again, as they were coming into their teen years, I was no longer religious, and I really struggled. I said, well, what do I say to them? I wasn't the kind of parent who said, oh yeah, you can't have sex before marriage. I suggested that you might wait, or just, but so all of a sudden I'm like, well, what do I say? And what you're saying, what you guys are saying, that's pretty much it. I said, with you, it's ideal to wait till you're mature, till this is the years that that you're pretty much mature enough, and even then, you need to be emotionally ready for sex. I'm not sure if that's ever happened. That really is a thing. But
Wait a minute, wait. Emotionally ready? Wait a minute, let me write this down.
yeah, I know.
Emotionally
I'm debating
ready
that one.
for
But
sex. Okay.
yeah, just to be able to say that as long as it's consensual.
Yes,
then,
that's very important.
you know,
That's very important. That's
and
very
as
important.
long as and if you think that you're questioning your sexuality and you want to explore that, nobody can tell you who you are.
Right.
Nobody can tell you who you are, and it's been a
Well, it's
really
on their birth
rewarding
certificate.
to
There's
have
like
these
this is their
conversations
name.
with
I
my
can tell
kids.
them who they are. It's I wrote it down.
So
I wrote it down. Does that count? That doesn't count. That doesn't count. Oh.
so
No, I get
I'm
you.
really glad. Yeah.
I get you. I did the same thing with my daughters. I said,
Yeah.
when you turn 18, you're technically legally an adult. If you want to have sex with whomever you want to, man or woman, or multiples, if that's up to you. But just wait till you turn 18. That's all I'm asking of you.
Mm.
And they waited, and guess what? Neither one of them is still pregnant. I'm
Well,
still
you
not
know-
grandpa.
Contact us by email at ppappodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter as @PackardPokesat. Like us on Facebook.com/PackardPokesat. Call our Google Voice and leave a message at 662-709-PPAP or 662-709-7727, and we will respond to it on the show. Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time. Join us live at vonlive.tv/PackardPokesat. During the show, you can share your thoughts with us by calling 857-216-3200 using PIN number 35368 or on uberconference.com/PackardPokesat. For links to the stories, visit our show page at packardpokesat.wordpress.com. You can help support the show by purchasing merchandise from cafepress.com/PackardPokesat or make a donation to the show at patreon.com/PackardPokesat. If you can't afford any money, why not share the show with your friends and rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spreaker, and on YouTube. For everyone that shares and rates us, you kick ass.
The Atheists,
The Bible.
and No Wardrobe, the podcast.
Wait a minute. No wardrobe? You mean we're going to be naked while we do this?
Well, seeing how I'm an atheist and I'm reading the Bible, and since clothes are flammable,
Fire! Fire! Fire!
I thought it might be a good idea to take them all off first.
Naked or not, follow along as we read, analyze, and try to keep you from falling asleep as we go through this boring-ass book.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker. Who knows? We may even be on YouTube someday.
That what we were talking about a second ago, it does sort of touch on another one of those things that's really odd when we look back at the way, like, the Abrahamic religions specifically constructed their sexual morality. Is that it's the same thing with just the general concept of sin overall. Like, it's all defined relative to, you know, how far you are able to follow the rules laid out by God.
Yeah.
And like there's all of the forbidden sex acts that are mentioned in the Bible, for instance, are all things that, well, you can't do something because God told you not to do it. There's not a word in any of it about, hey, make sure the person you're having sex with wants to have sex with you.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
oh,
there's
yeah,
not
absolutely.
a word about anything.
No, you're right. There's none of that shit.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. There's none of that shit. We've been like I said, we've been talking about this on our
Yeah.
second podcast, The Atheist, the Bible, and No Wardrobe. If you haven't downloaded it, it's on iTunes, Stitcher, and several other places. Check it out. But there is none of that shit in there. It's like,
No,
okay,
still waiting for it.
yeah, we haven't found it yet. It's like, oh, here's a woman, fuck her. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
what does she think about it?
disgusting.
Don't care. She doesn't have a voice. She doesn't have a penis. Why should we fucking care? Our God didn't say that she should have a voice. Fuck her. Well, yeah, that's the whole idea. Fuck her. Make babies.
And if you look at it as something that was created by a culture, 3,000 years ago, in a much more sexist and misogynistic and patriarchal time, where women were viewed as property and where women's rights were not ever considered, then it makes perfect sense. But if you look at it as the work of God, who is the ultimate moral standard, and the person who lays down our morality forever and always, it doesn't make any sense at all. You're really telling me that the average, modern person, at least in terms of their conscious ideas, never mind if we get into their biases or the things about themselves that they don't always realize. But if you ask any random person, on the street, is it okay to rape people? They're probably gonna say, well, no, of course not. So the average person today is more moral than the God who defines our morality, because God never said shit about any of that.
Yeah. I have had conversations with some people online. I said, yeah, you speaking of rape for just a moment there. Just recently, I was trying to explain something to somebody, and I said, you wouldn't blame a rape victim, would you? It's like, he goes, well, sometimes. I was like, sometimes? No, it's not sometimes. The right answer is never, never, ever, never, ever, ever. I can't even put enough nevers in that sentence to make it stand out.
Yeah. Like when is it okay?
Yeah, I was like,
give me an example when it's okay to blame the victim.
This is their reasoning. Well, if they go down into a bad area of town and they're walking or something, and then, well, they shouldn't have been down there, so it's their own fault for being down there. It's like, fucking asshole, no.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the reason. She didn't say, hey, everybody, rape me.
Right.
That's not, then that would be implying consent at that point. Because it's like, hey, do a thing to me.
Exactly. Well, it's just like if your car gets stolen and you call the cops and you're like, my car got stolen, and the cop says, well, did you remember to lock your car? And you say, oh shit, no, I forgot to lock my car. And the cop says, oh, well, never mind, we can't help you. No, your car was still stolen.
Right.
It doesn't matter how careless you were. It doesn't matter whether you locked it, whether you parked it in a bad spot, it doesn't fucking matter. Whatever.
Yep.
Your responsibility as a car owner does not give another person the right to take your car if you forgot to secure it as well as you maybe should have. It makes no difference at all.
You're right.
All this shit about, well, she was dressed a certain way, she was drinking too much, she was she was walking down a dark alley by herself, it's irrelevant.
It is irrelevant. If she was walking down in the alley completely buck-ass naked,
exactly,
you still don't get a right to go, hey, spread the thighs.
Exactly. There's nothing that can happen that will give you the right to do that, other than the other person consenting to do that with you. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Yeah, then it's not rape.
But
that's
if somebody's that inebriated, can they really consent?
Oh, exactly. That's true also.
Yeah.
That's true also.
Yep. But
yeah.
Anyway. And no, the Bible is obviously not written by a God.
No.
A more powerful, omniscient, omnipresent, everything, blah 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 being would have higher morals than that, and that is some of the biggest proof that it's just a bunch of bunk.
Right.
It's just written by human beings trying to sort this stuff out.
Stuff. And the thing is, though, they try to say that the concept of sin, just stick to Christianity for the moment. It all goes back to the beginning of the Bible. It's like, well, they ate an apple or a fruit. It doesn't say apple, although it does say in the title here, it does say the apple is a lie. But see, it's such a lie. It's actually not even an apple. So
it's not even an apple.
It's not even an apple. Fucking matters. It's not even a fucking apple. No. But they try to put it off on that Eve Woman, wife number 2.
Yeah.
Not Lilith.
Not
you know.
Lilith.
Yeah.
Lilith's like, fuck that shit.
Fuck that. I ain't making apple pie. Fuck off, asshole.
Like,
No.
You're not blaming me. I was already out of there.
I'm already. Because she supposedly fed Adam the apple, then that's where original sin come from. Like, God already supposedly sets everything in motion. Why wouldn't he have fucking known about this and made it impossible for them to sin? Because then, hey, that would have solved the whole problem. Or put the God, instead of making it a luscious tree, make it a stinky ass bog. Who's going to eat from that? Make it a lava pit. Stay from the lava pit. Okay, that shit hurts. Don't eat from this lava pit. Gotcha.
Make it smell like ass and just, yeah.
Make it taste like ass. Make it look like ass. Well, no, some people like ass. Never mind.
Sorry.
No, let's go back to lava. I think lava is the best bet.
There you go.
But then why didn't their imaginary sky monkey figure this shit out? Oh, he couldn't have figured that out in advance. Stupid fucks. Adderall Apocalypse, thank you for your comment. He says, God is often spoken of as a king, quote unquote, in the Bible. Oh, well, if God is so much goddamn smarter than us, why doesn't he use an outdated system of governance? Or why does he use such an outdated system of governance? Excellent point.
Well, I think it's because to the people who wrote the Bible and to, I think, a lot of modern day Christians, it's not an outdated system. I mean, that's
No.
they might consider it an outdated system for human governance, because I think even most modern Christians, would not favor like a monarchy, like an absolute monarchy. I mean, even they would.
Unless you're David Barton.
Yeah, well, yeah, there are some people who are like, no, we want to take over, and we.
Yeah.
But that's how they think the universe is set up. They think that God is the king, and nobody elected God.
Right.
I mean,
I didn't vote for the fucker.
No. When was the election for God?
I missed it. I missed it apparently.
Oh my goodness.
That which reminds me, the running for God thing. There's an old TV show called Night Court. If you're not familiar with it, go look. I know it's just, Steve, you're my age. You of course you know about that shit.
Yeah. All you young whippersnappers.
For you young whippersnappers, get off my lawn. No, there's this old TV show called Night Court. Look it up.
Awesome show.
It was an awesome show. I went back not that long ago and watched back through. There's a lot of religious dogma that was thrown in there that I was like, I really didn't pay attention to because I really didn't think much about it. However, there was this one particular funny part, which it still sticks with me today. This guy's like, oh, he thinks he's God. He's like, no. I don't think I'm God. I'm running for God. And of course, Dan Fielding, who's the prosecutor, he's like, what about that whole adultery thing? And he's like, I'm taking care of that. It's like, you got my vote. So
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to come up with a better platform than the one that the current God has. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Anything is better than that.
Yeah.
Especially if you
no slavery, no mistreating gay people, no raping people,
and no boiling your goat kids in your mother's milk and its mother's milk. That's in there, people. That's actually in there.
No more being like super uptight about women having their period. Let's just get over it.
Yeah.
That
shit's icky as hell.
Yes.
But it's gross.
It's gross.
That seems
all
like
blood is sacred, but except for that, right?
Yes, exactly. All blood's sacred, except unless it comes out of a vagina, then fuck it. Whoa, we're out of here.
It seems that's the source of a lot of the things that are taboo in the Bible. The people who wrote those bits just thought that it was gross. Because if you really think about it, like there's no other reason. Like, why the hell should you even care?
Yeah, exactly. This
is
where
I think about it now. I wonder if they're with sort of like the people the preachers who say that gays are just wrong, and then you find out later that they're homosexual. They've been calling up young male prostitutes. So maybe the people who said something about having sex with women in their period, that was actually their thing. That was their problem.
Yeah.
I really like that. Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So it's one of the whole concept of sin, it's just totally ridiculous. We should really just chuck the whole sin concept as like, and just put it in a trash compactor, trash the trash compactor, after it's trashed it down, trash that trash compactor, and shoot the whole goddamn thing into the sun. And this whole concept of Jesus died for your sins, that's total bullshit. That's like saying, okay, if I did a thing, all right, I murdered somebody. Let's just say I murdered somebody. I didn't actually do this, but let's just say I did. I go to court, and the judge says, hey, you did a thing. You did a very bad thing. So to forgive you, I'm going to kill my kid, and then you get off scot-free. Okay. I guess I can go do it. You got any more kids? I know a few people that really need killing. That just happens, you know.
You know, I mean, the thing about that has always bothered me, and I know a lot of other atheist commentators have picked up on this too, is that it's the idea that your sins can be taken from you
right
by something that someone else does. And I mean, sometimes Christians try to describe it. They have all kinds of different metaphors that they use to talk about it. Sometimes they describe it as like a debt transaction.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, the death of Jesus paid your debt of sin. But that's not really what they're describing.
Right.
I mean, what they're saying is that Jesus is taking on your sins, that it's as though whatever sins you committed are being taken from you and placed on Jesus. And that just doesn't, that's impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Christopher Hitchens used to say, like, you know, if I can pay your debt. And he even said, you know, if you are sentenced to serve time in prison, I could serve your time in prison. Now, no justice system would ever allow that.
No.
If you were committed of a crime and they said, Packard, 30 years in prison, you know, I couldn't step in and say, no, send me to prison for 30 years instead. That's not the way it works.
That's right. They wouldn't. Exactly.
Right.
They would say, no. I was like, what did you do? Did you do the same crime? No.
Yeah.
I'm just an innocent bystander. I just happened to come in. I'm listening to the case, and I'll take his place.
Yeah. But even if they did let you do that, even that would not change the fact that you did what you did.
All right.
Nothing will ever change that. And so if the position is, well, you did something that God can't forgive,
right.
Putting it on Jesus doesn't change anything, because
Exactly.
you always will have done what you did.
Right.
So if God wants to forgive you, he just needs to do it. He just needs to
Right.
say, you know what? You did something that I didn't want you to do. You broke one of my rules, but I love you and you seem like you're sorry.
Yeah.
So all is forgiven.
Yeah.
That's what forgiveness is.
That's all he would have had to do. I was like,
Yes.
I've asked Christians this: why couldn't why couldn't God come up with another way? Why did somebody have to die, quote unquote? Not that I believe Jesus was ever real to begin with, but
He took a nap.
he took a nap for
took
3
a nap.
days. I just saw this meme a little while earlier before the show. We were trying to get the background picture here, but we got Satan here. We love you, Satan. Anyway, I saw this meme. It's like, and we had Jesus standing out, and 3 days later, another one appeared. It's like, what the fuck's going on here? I did want to read a couple comments here, both of them from Jim Kell. He says, if we were all born sinners, all do sin, and all can be forgiven for sin according to the religious, why do they think homosexuality is so unforgivable? Because these were homophobic bigots back then. This is why they think they thought it was unnatural, because they didn't know the science that every animal in the animal kingdom, and humans are a part of that animal kingdom, have sex with the same gender. As a matter of fact, there was just, I don't know, a few months ago, there's a video that just recently came out where it shows these two male lions having sex. And Christians usually identify themselves with lions because like, oh, the lion is the king of the jungle and God is our king, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, your king is gay.
Well, it also goes back to that problem of getting people to believe that there's something filthy and broken about them,
Right.
just for being who they are.
Yeah.
You know, that's the really ugly thing, especially about the, you know, homosexuality is an abomination, is that now we understand that there's nothing abnormal about a person being gay.
Right.
There's nothing abnormal about a person being bisexual. There's nothing abnormal about a person being transgender, having
Right.
a different gender identity. There's nothing those are all just natural ways in
Right.
which people are people. There's
Right.
just ways that we're different. And to tell people and people, and you have no control over that. That's just the way you are. That's just
Right.
the way you're born.
Yeah.
And to tell people
Right.
that the way you're born is sinful, the way you're born is wrong, this part of your nature that you have no control over is something that you could be punished for forever. It awful.
It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if randomly sometimes people could, you know, just jump up in the air and start flying around like, you know, Superman, for example. They would say that was unnatural.
Yeah.
And because let's just say it was really rare. And I'm wondering if the religion would be written to this point where it's like, if thy child or person is flying, that's unnatural. Well, if people could randomly jump up in the air and fly, because that would be a thing. Let's just say that, just for sake of argument, that was a thing. That would also be natural, because if it was happening to us, I'll give you a better example. Actually, some people are left-handed. My oldest daughter, is left-handed. For a very long time, even into the 1950s and 60s, because my mother would tell me about stories like this about kids in school, if they're writing with their left hands, they'd get their hands beat or slapped, saying, "No, you don't write with your left hand. That's evil. Writing with the left hand is evil." It's like, no, it's not. It's just natural. It's the most natural thing. So we suppress people just being left fucking handed for fucking decades and centuries, possibly. And it's just so fucking ridiculous. These things that are natural, they don't have any control over, so we say that they're unnatural because we just don't know what to do about it.
It doesn't fit. Well, it doesn't fit what is considered the norm.
Right, or their narrative of what is normal.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. I mean, this is what is quote unquote normal, and
right.
You know, we bring babies home in pink and blue blankets, and we expect that. Well, and I think the left and right hand thing might have also had to do with societally about, you know, which hand you ate with and which hand you wiped your butt with, you know.
Actually, the wiping
so
of the butt thing, over,
Yeah.
I think it's over in China. I could be wrong, but I know it's an Asian country. That over there, you will never meet somebody that's left-handed, because it's shake with the right and wipe with the left. Mm-hmm. So if you're left-handed, you would be, you know, kind of screwed, because you would be, you know, you're supposed to, you know, to clean your business with your left hand. So
it brings up here, like, God, if he was really all that knowledgeable, he would have told people that you wash your hands. He would have told people about germs. He would have told people about a billion other things. And it doesn't even have to be in a complex way that we understand biology and science and everything today.
Yeah.
He just would have.
Yeah. Adderall,
instead, have these fucking rules.
I didn't want to break in. Adderall Apocalypse mentioned that his dad had that same shit happen to him, that they would beat on his hand because he's left-handed, because his dad's left-handed there too. So yeah, this whole concept of sin is very detrimental to society as a whole. They keep spewing the crap, saying this is this thing that you want to do. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's not written in their goddamn holy texts, they will try to attribute it to something else. Recently, Pokemon Go became a big thing again, or it is a thing now anyway. And now religious people are saying, well, that's bringing out demons because you're handling demons in your phone and you're going to kill Christians by making you want to get this next demon. You'll have to kill a Christian or something. Is like, no, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Okay, you're just making shit up. Anything that they don't like, they contribute to demonic activity because we don't understand a thing, so that thing is automatically evil or sinful. No, it is just no. Please take your sin and go home. If you want to all right, I'm going to boil this down. If you want to believe something is bad, that's fine. Keep it to your motherfucking self. We don't want to hear it. Unless it is an actual bad. Running somebody over your car, that's an actual bad. Setting someone on fire, that's an actual bad.
Wait, I'm writing this down. Okay.
Connie had to write
rules.
I know, right?
Can't run people over.
Can't run
set
people over.
on fire.
Shit.
God damn
Don't
it.
shoot
What
people
can
in the
you
face
do?
with a bazooka. God damn it. I got to write that one down.
God, how many more rules do I have, Packard?
Be excellent to each other. See, that's a good rule. That's a good rule.
I like that one.
That's a good rule. Be
That
excellent
sounds
to each
familiar.
other. Does sound familiar. Borrowed that one from somewhere. I wonder, Ted.
Me too.
Wonder, Bill.
Oh, wait, don't, damn it. Now I'm thinking about. Okay.
But
Now
I
I'm
mean, isn't
sitting
it a
and
little?
thinking
It's
about
a
Keanu
little
Reeves
telling
again.
that, like, you know, the cheesy Keanu Reeves comedy manages to get a moral principle more right than most of the Bible does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
yes. Yeah.
like the stuff in the Bible that is good, that like is really morally valuable. Well, none of it is original to the Bible. Like,
No.
it's all stuff that people
Yes.
knew already. But there are a few phrases, you know, in especially in the New Testament, that are really nicely stated.
Yeah.
Moral principles. But those are ones, again, that you don't need to refer to God to at all.
Exactly.
Like if you, when Jesus is telling a parable of telling the parable of the king who goes in disguise to be among his subjects, and it's where you get that wonderful line, that which you do to the least of these, you do to me.
Yeah.
You know, in
Well,
other
I haven't
words,
got that far in the Bible. I don't know. So.
Yeah, it's toward the back.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it for me, Steve.
Spoilers.
There was a great meme I had seen some time ago. There are some good things in the Bible which you just mentioned. We actually did find 2 so far. I mean, out of 3 books, we found 2. It's not a good ratio so far.
No,
I'm sorry, it's not a good ratio. But the thing is, sometimes you eat corn. Okay, I eat corn. I love corn. But when I take a shit, sometimes the corn is there. I'm like, you know, the corn is still good. The corn is still good, but I'm not going digging to the shit to eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, you know, you don't. The good principles that you find in the Bible or in any religious text, because all religions have, you know, nicely stated, you know, moral principles, but the ones that are universal are the ones that you don't, you know, you can agree, okay, we should be kind to people, we should help the poor, we should be charitable, we should, you know, we should be forgiving of each other. We should view our enemies as people too. You know, these are all principles that you can find in various forms in various religions. You don't need to be a Christian to believe that that's true. You don't need to be a Jew or a Muslim or a Hindu or whatever to believe that it's important to be kind to people, to be compassionate to people, to respect people's rights. Those are universal principles.
Yes.
You know, so religions try to take credit for those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They try. Try is a key word.
Yeah, but those things don't belong to them. They belong to everybody.
Exactly. All right. Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our hour. I do apologize. This is a kind of a timed show for our newcomers. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to get some last words on this. Steve, sin, the concept of sin, last few words.
Don't worry about it. just try to be good to people. Just try to treat people right. Treat people with respect. Treat people the way they want to be treated.
Right.
And don't worry about what someone's idea of God says you should or shouldn't do.
Right. Yeah. I don't use the treat people the way I like to be treated because I like to tie people up sometimes. And I'm just saying that they don't like that. So
Yeah, make sure they're cool with it.
Yeah, make sure they're cool with it. Yeah, it's like. Connie, what are your last thoughts on the concept of sin?
I don't want to follow that comment. That's my first thought. All right. As an archer, sinning means you didn't hit the center of the target, but it does mean that you're aiming at the target. And you know what? Just try to be nice. Be excellent to each other. It's really all that it is. And if you mess up, just apologize. Take responsibility for your own actions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what's really about.
Yeah, and both of you stole my fucking thunder. Fuck you both. Kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Consent.
I'm totally kidding.
No.
No, but
you're speaking figuratively.
But
I'm sorry. Okay.
but seriously, take the concept of sin. If someone says you did a thing against me, it was a bad thing. Say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident or whatever. Whatever just be the bigger person. Apologize. Don't if they say it was a sin against God. Say, you know what? Fuck your God. Fuck your God. I could respect you because you're a human being. You're more important than your imaginary friend. I can respect you. I'm not going to respect your beliefs. I'm not going to respect your imaginary sky wizard, sky monkey, sky child, spoiled brat child, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to respect it. And then if you think I'm sinning against your God, that's tough. If he has a problem with it, have him come talk to me. Until then, I'm not going to worry about it. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll be back next week with our regular short show. Yeah, it's our short show next week, isn't it? Yes. No, it's our long show next week. No, it's our long show next week. I get these. My days are confusing. We're having a regular longer show next week, and so we're going to talk to you then. I believe we have a guest next week, if I'm not mistaken.
We have a guest, and we have 2 guest hosts. I am
that's right.
Going to be absent.
Yes. Connie's going to sit against the show, and she's not going to be here.
Taking a vacation with 5+ grandchildren, my daughter, her boyfriend, and my regular.
Yeah. So she's taking a little vacation. On this show, you need a vacation every once in a while too. So I wish I could. God damn it!
Thank you for being here, Steve.
Yes, and thank you, Steve. Where can they find your channel, Steve?
You can go to youtube.com/Steve Shives.
There you go.
You can find me there, or you can find me on Twitter at Steve_Shives.
Yep, it's right there on the screen too.
Yes.
If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you're gonna have to listen to it again and again and again until you remember to write it down. Okay, well, we'll see you next week. This has been Packard Pokes. Okay, let's talk.
And that's a wrap.